I want to start talking about Nelson Mandela. You know, me and Lorie had a conversation about this Bert the other day, and the problem that I have sometimes is that when we start talking about iconic figures, we tend to kind of glass them over, and we look at the way that society wants to redefine them, and not deal with the reality of the struggle and the real issues that actually made the man who he was. And I'm concerned about that because, as one of my mentors has said to me, is that, you know, just like they redefined Dr. King, you know, to one word sentence, I have a dream, I'm concerned that they're going to talk about this whole Invictus thing and just make it about uniting South Africa, but not recognizing the struggle that it took to get there. So I just want to give you all a chance to talk about what your ideas about Nelson Mandela is and how the media is portraying him right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's wonderful to concentrate on the idea of unity and peace and, you know, coming together, but I think the struggle is equally as important because the sacrifices people like Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, etc. have gone through are equally as important. It shows, I think it would show a younger generation that you do need to make sacrifices, that things don't come to you, that you do have struggles similar to the struggles that they had during the Civil Rights era. But it also shows a little bit more about the character of the man. And although I think it's hard to look at the fact that anyone would be in jail for 27 years and go through what anyone goes through in jail for that length of time, I don't think that should be glazed over either. I don't think we should concentrate on the negative, but I think it is important that we recognize the injustices that people who become eventually iconic figures went through in order to serve the purpose that they did in the struggle.
Yes, that's well said. The character of Mandela will be in thousands of books and for hundreds of years because he is so unique and iconic figure worldwide. For example, 89, as of today, 89 countries, heads of countries are going to be at his memorial this week. You have conservative columnists, conservative speakers like even Newt Gingrich, praising him about the wonderful character he was. George Bush, even though Mandela criticized him for the Iraq War, George Bush said he's still a great man. So the point is that he was unique in the sense that he had plenty of time to think while he was in prison, the 27 years he talked about, plenty of time to contemplate. He saw that he was a figure. He saw himself as being the necessary leader. He has to be the one to be counted on to bring the country, turn the country around, and bring it to a state that everyone can, including the Afrikaners, can feel a part of, so there won't be just permanent conflict. It was great.
It's interesting the point that you made, Bert, because people need to be able to recognize the power they have within their historical context and understand that whatever gifts and talents that they have, they can bring to the table and make a difference, even if you're locked up. And the thing that I thought that really upset me, and I think I talked again to somebody about, is that no one talks about that struggle. I mean, can you live somewhere and not speak to somebody? And they made the point, can you live somewhere and not talk to somebody for years and maintain your sanity enough to come out and make a difference? And again, we talked about this last week. Let's not forget Winnie Mandela, because life wasn't wonderful for her. I mean, she talked about the things that happened when they kept raiding her home and attacking her family and her kids, and just the mental struggle that she had not having him around, and trying to also, as a symbol, represent, you know, the ANC and those people that are out there. So just as much as his victory, it was her victory, because she was in it for the long term, and I don't think we acknowledge that enough. I mean, I'm again concerned that he's going to become a caricature of what the power structure wants to identify him as, and not the totality of the man that went through that struggle. Because a lot of people don't want to be accountable for the man's inhumanity to man. And that's the problem. They need to acknowledge that they were incorrect in the treatment that they gave him. And not only him, all those brothers and sisters in the ANC, because there's still people that are locked up that they're not even talking about. There's still people that are still being treated that way he was treated years ago. And we're not even dealing with that, not only in South Africa, but in the United States of America.
Yeah, and I think one of the best testimonials we could have for, to honor his life is to make sure that the situation as it is now in South Africa continues to change, because we do know there's still inequities.
Right.
We do know there's still certain circumstances that he struggled for a very long time to change, and now we should actually look at the fact that if we want to honor his memory, that we should make sure that those things are addressed. And I personally remember reading back in the book from the Civil Rights era of Huey Newton, and he talked about his time in jail, talked about when he was in solitary, and I remember actually feeling the full anguish of his describing what he went through for that period of time. So I think we really need to have a little bit of recognition, like you said, or acknowledgement on the part of the people who created the injustice, even if it's an apology, because I think that it'll help show that they do acknowledge the fact that errors are made, and that the people who are still serving time and not being talked about as much as Mr. Mandela do get their light shined on them.